Okay, guys. Hey, and welcome to the live. Let's see. What is today? Today's Monday. Today's Monday. Hey, guys. So, anyways, welcome to the live. Again, I think you guys seen the
Hey,
thumbnail for it. We're going to be talking about the First Amendment rights. You guys' First Amendment rights. You guys know I'm from Canada, so obviously, true crime. We cover on It's a Crime and Shame. Sorry, we cover typically mostly cases in the United States, and most of the followers are from either the UK or the United States, and a few from Canada. A few. It's because we don't cover. But first and foremost, though, before we get started, are you going to come show your face, Mister? Show your face. Quit hiding. There you go. Yeah,
sorry, I was pixelated, so I just wanted to make sure that
yeah,
my camera was okay.
yeah. Adam's doing these weird things by spending more time in his apartment than I normally see him do. But first and foremost, I do want to say congratulations to Kelsey, and I can't think of what. Sorry, what's her husband's name now? I can't think of his name for some reason.
Caleb.
Yes. Okay. Caleb. Sorry. My bad. Anyways, Kelsey and Caleb. So this is from the Delphi, of course, case. And Becky and Mike, and of course, are the grandparents. And this is to do, of course, with
Great
Kelsey.
grandparents.
Great, yeah. Great, great grandparents?
For Kelsey's baby, yeah, they're the great grandparents.
Oh, great grandparents? Now we're just aging them. No, just but so on August 12th, um, Kelsey and Caleb had a little girl named Ellie. So, of course, anyone that follows the Delphi case knows that Libby German and Abigail Williams, of course, that case is ongoing in regard to their homicides from 2017. What's Shelly? Does anyone know how to fix it? What's going on, Shelly? What's Shelly going on about? Fix. You talking about Adam? I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not.
Shelly, I've been trying for 42 years to figure out how to fix it.
Yeah. Um. Now I see that. So I see that freedom to film is in the house, and probably unfamously famous. I'm sure will probably pop up. I'm not sure if he's going to come on the live, and of course, freedom to fight. If you feel like wanting to come up here on the live and join us, feel free. Just let us know in the comment section, and then I will pass on the link, or you can get the link from uh, Daniel that has it. And let's just start off, of course, by saying some hellos. All right. So we have our Caucasian, you look at that, Caucasian Sasquatch. Hmm. I just want to know if you're in my neck of the woods here in Canada. Yeah. Because what do we have? The Yeti, Sasquatch, Bigfoot. Those are the typical names, yeah. So welcome, and of course Mustangs here. It's a crime and shames here. Shelly, hey Shelly, hey Mustang. My chat moved over to lower part. Oh, my chat moved over. Oh, that's why. I'll tell you why you did that, Shelly, is because when you clicked on what is it called? I'm not on it. Uh, in your little box there in the right hand corner, it's because you clicked on a different way, a setting there, and you want to go back to. Let me have a video open. Uh, you want to go back to your standard YouTube setting to bring your comments back to the side. Let's see if I can just go to a clipping for you for a sec. Hold on. YouTube channel. Let's just go pick one here. Okay. So if I hit share screen right here. Okay, in this box here, I just said to my husband, said to my husband. So now I have it in theater mode, but I want it in like default view. So you just got to play around with your box there. If you put it to the side, it's because probably like I think that's when you have it in like mini player, and it goes to the side like that.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
so yeah, so I'm not exactly sure which one you hit there, but either or, that's what you did. One of those two things. Hi, mean Helen. How are you? Let's see here. Got freedom to film in the house. True crime housewife. How are you? Hi, Lacey. See Lacey somewhere. There's Lacey. She's up there. Okay. And who else we got? We got Sharon Parker's in the house.
Hey,
You
Sharon.
know, yeah, our loyal people that no matter what we do, they're always around. We love you for that. Diana's in the house. And I know that Miss Dog Lover said that she wanted to come on a live with us. She wanted to come hang and chill with us. But today's one wouldn't make sense.
Right.
CJK's in
Freedom,
the house. Go ahead.
Freedom to Film says, I believe Famously Unfamous is coming up. Unfortunately, I can't in my current setting.
Oh, okay. I wonder if Bluetooth earpiece will be okay with audio. I have no headphones. Oh, just try. You know, YOLO, right? You know that. You know that's how we
Right.
work. YOLO. If it works, it works. If it
Oh,
doesn't,
and it should be, Famously Unfamous. Like, I don't use headphones. Sunny doesn't use headphones. So
yeah. And so
I
let me.
personally think headphones are kind of a gimmick that a lot of people feel they need, but it's just to make them look like streamers.
you know, I'm not gonna lie. There's one channel that she wears white headphones. Drives me crazy. I'm like, at least get dark ones because it looks like you have earmuffs on. You legit look like you have earmuffs on. I'm not saying who it is. I'm just saying that. Okay. Um,
Don't talk about Deb that way.
okay. So right here, this is freedom to film. Again, so basically, we're going to be talking about the ACLU. We're going to be showing some videos going on. And this is about your First Amendment rights and about how basically it just seems like a lot of times they make laws just to make laws out there sometimes. And it keeps, infringing on the First Amendment rights. And of course, So, Adam, when you think of First Amendment rights, what do you think of? What do you guys think of?
Um, when I
Like,
think of First Amendment rights, I think that in the United States, and I'm not a constitutional expert, um, but I think of the fact that we have the right in the United States to state our beliefs, and even if those beliefs aren't valiant or like I can say horrible things, and it's still protected under the First Amendment rights.
mm-hmm,
Um, I think that what a lot of people get mistaken by is that First Amendment First Amendment rights aren't absolute. They are they are a they are a privilege, and I believe that the First Amendment rights. Personally, I feel like they extend up until the point where they interfere with someone else's First Amendment rights or someone else's rights as a human being. But um, I don't
so
know.
yeah, well, I was gonna say, basically the meaning that they have if you Google it, it will say the First Amendment right guarantees freedoms concerning religion, expression, assembly, and the right to petition. It forbids Congress from both promoting one religion over another and also restricting an individual's religious practices.
Right.
Um, so when you Google it, that's what comes up. Now, like I said, I can't say that I know a ton about this. There was a really good video I did watch today on it actually. But bottom line is, so in Indiana, you know what? Let me pull that up right now for a second. Let me let's see here. freedom. Sorry, guys. Got a bunch of tabs open here. Just got to find the right one. Oh my goodness, how many tabs do I have open? Looking for the okay.
And guys, if I get too pixelated or anything, Sunny said I was pixelated earlier, so let me know if I do, and I'll just turn my camera off.
Yeah. So first of all, let's talk about the American Civil Liberties Union, which is, of course, of Indiana. So on August 8th of 2023, the American Civil Liberties Union of Indiana today filed a lawsuit on behalf of a citizen journalist claiming Indiana's new 25-foot encroachment law violates a constitutional right to observe and record the police. The new law, which went into effect July 1st, so that was July 1st of this year, guys, okay, in Indiana, prohibits a person from knowingly or intentionally approaching within 25 feet of a law enforcement officer after the officer has ordered the person to stop. The plaintiff named Donald, and I'm going to butcher this last name, Nicodemus. I'm going to say Nicodemus, is a citizen journalist who lives in South Bend, Indiana, and that would be Freedom to Film. Okay, that's who say Donald is. Okay, so that's one that's in the chat right now. So if I'm butchering your last name, totally apologize. Nicodemus regularly posts videos on his YouTube channel, Freedom to Film. Oh, there we go. It said it for myself, which has more than 23,000 subscribers. South Bend police have enforced the new law against Nicodemus to prevent him from getting close to enough to observe and record their activities. The unbridled discretion given to law enforcement officers by the new 25-foot law allows and invites content and viewpoint based on discrimination, said Ken Falk, legal director at the ACLU of Indiana. This gives police officers unchecked authority to prohibit citizens from approaching within 25 feet of the officers to observe their actions, even if the actions of the citizens are not and will not interfere with the police. On July 20th, Nicodemus was observing and recording an area of police activity much further than 25 feet from the area. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that famously unfamous Daniel was there as well. And well, I know, while live streaming the event to Freedom to Film. He was not interfering in any way with the police investigation. In the video recorded by Nicodemus, an officer is seen stepping off what he indicated was 25 feet from the location where Nicodemus and the others observers were standing, and told them that they had to move further away from police activity. At this point, Nicodemus was already unable to observe and record the scene. After approximately 12 minutes, another officer approached. Nicodemus and others who were gathered at the 25-foot point and said that this was his crime scene and that everyone had to move back another 25 feet. The officer threatened those on the corner, including Nicodemus, who would go to jail if they did not move back another 25 feet, stating that there was a new law. The right of the citizens to observe and record the police is a critical check and balance, said Katie Blair, Advocacy and Public Policy Director at the ACLU of Indiana. Whether it's a traffic stop, a police response to a mental health crisis, or other police community interactions, community members cannot hold police officers accountable if they cannot observe what is going on. Okay, so in saying that, Adam, with what I just read there, so what would you feel about this new law? And I'll show a video in just a moment, you guys. Did I say it correct? Yay, score one for me. Okay. So at the end of the day, right? Again, this law was put into effect July 1st. Do you feel like, as time keeps going on, first of all, that they keep creating this laws that are taking away your First Amendment rights, and it's slowly kind of, like almost getting to the point where they keep squeezing everything, to the point that really, that in time, honestly, that most of these First Amendment rights in not just this situation but others are starting to get taken away, or do you agree with a 25-foot um, encroachment area?
Well, um, I believe that if you read the Constitution and you read the First Amendment of the federal United States, there's no 25-foot rule, and, and excuse my language, but I think that this is a bullshit law.
I think so. I agree. You know, the thing is that
To me, this sounds like something that the police don't want to be held accountable. Um, the police don't want to be held accountable in instances where they don't want to hold the narrative, or with unless they hold the narrative. And I think that any I think transparency is key in all things that benefit public and the
Mhm.
public. I believe that if you don't have anything to hide, then why is there a need for this?
um, correct, right? Like, meaning, at the end of the day, we know that there's good cops and bad cops, right? And then usually the people that have a problem with these type of things are typically the ones that I'm just going to go out and say it, are typically the ones that are probably breaking the laws themselves, and again, more, if there's no problem with it, right? Meaning, if you're a good cop and you know the rules of your first right amendment, and your First Amendment right, sorry, then obviously you're not going to really have an issue with it, because you're allowed to record in
Right.
public.
Right. If
You're
I get if I get in the car and I get pulled over 5 minutes from now, I have the right to film the police officer that pulls me over.
okay. You know, before, okay, I'm going to show a couple videos here. The first one I'm going to show is prior to the law coming in. Okay, it's a little bit lengthy, but I might shorten it up. I'll have to see. It's not like, so. In the video that you're just about to see, this is to do with a fireman. Okay, and this is again to do with freedom to film. And basically, they're just out there recording, the incident that's going on, something about pepper spray, some guy with a gun. And the people out there just recording, doing what they can do or allowed to do.
Right.
And then this fireman guy kind of comes up with all this attitude and basically, like basically bumps in to Donald, or Don, whichever he likes to be called, or we'll just say freedom to film, whichever. And so this is before, of course, the 20-foot rule, 25-foot rule, my bad, came into effect. Okay.
Right.
So let's
Can,
watch that. Go
can
ahead.
I just answer? Shelley says I agree with it. Nobody needs to be up on the police while they are trying to do their job. And Shelley, I support law enforcement 100%. I think that law enforcement have a incredibly difficult job to do every day that they clock in. Um, my my disagreement with what you're saying is that when you say nobody needs to be up on the police while they are trying to do their job, the police in the United States, their job um, is very dictated by rules and laws. So there's no reason that the police shouldn't be filmed and the police can't do their job while being filmed, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, there's a difference there. If someone's absolutely interfering with their job, that's a whole
Absolutely.
different story. But when you have your First Amendment right and you're allowed to be there filming, and then again, like I said, and then all of a sudden, say like the one that we're just going to watch, the fireman starts getting aggressive with the people that are recording. But let's watch that first, and Meme Howland says, exactly right, Adam. They want to cover up their mistakes, so banning cameras or filming within 25 feet of the cops, just want to beat up people and keep their thing. Well, we know that that stuff happens. And to be honest with you, this is one of those things. Sometimes I'm torn because there's people out there that specifically are provoking. Okay. And then there's other
Agreed.
people that are out there. And in a lot of cases, a lot of people might not know this, but they call it auditing or audit. Like in the UK, there you have Curtis Media that does auditing, and there's a lot of people in the United States, wherever, Canada too, they call it auditing. Now, you are allowed in the United States there to film in government buildings and the government, whatever people doing their jobs. And it's just about, again, there shouldn't be a problem with it if it's in your First Amendment right,
Right.
and they're allowed to be doing that. Now, of course, if they're harassing or interfering, something like that, but different story.
Right.
But when
That,
people are
and that's a different story. But that's when I feel like it's important that, you know, the police themselves, they wear body camera.
yeah,
They wear body cameras. And so, you know, if a police officer then infringes on the rights of an individual, um, I feel like the public then will see that from a body camera footage. Um, so, I mean, I always support the police because I don't envy the police. I think that they have a horribly difficult job to do in
well,
every day of their lives.
yeah.
But um, but their job should be able to be done with transparency.
Um, CJK, we will come back to yours, and Shelly, uh, you will come
Exactly.
back to yours. So let's watch this first instant, and then Shelly, then tell me what you think. You guys, all of you, okay, whole 16 of you. I know that this isn't about deaths and homicides and stuff like that. Whatever, there's only 16 in here right now. Again, the people that excited will get viewed or whatever. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's to bring awareness, okay? Because at the end of the day, you guys know that for me, for instance, and Adam, nobody wants to see corruption or abuse of power.
No.
You guys know I have a problem with that. Again, if you have a right to be doing something and then they're basically taking away those rights, and you see it so many times, you see it in so many cases out there. So is it so wrong that people are filming the police to make sure that they're being on the up and up? No, I don't believe so. And then, so this is a pure example. If cameras, how this fireman has acted, because people were recording. So let's play this first and then we'll come back. Okay, guys?
Okay.
So let's go and we'll play this here.
Hey everybody, this story here comes from South Bend, Indiana, and I was here with a few other people just documenting this scene. This
Is
guy
that as
sitting
loud as
on
it
the
gets, Sonny?
curb is being treated for pepper spray. He allegedly went into the house and wasn't supposed to be there, and they said he had a gun, so I was just here to make sure everybody was being treated fairly and just document the scene. I didn't say anything to anybody. Watch what happens next and make sure you leave a comment and let me know what you think of this behavior from a public servant. Damn, she even slammed the door for you. He just walked right in like he lived there. Like he lived there, man. No knock knock or nothing. Yeah. He give you the stink eye. Yeah. Hey. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Why are you taking my picture?
Because you're in public.
Do you need my name?
Get out of my face.
You need my name, sir?
Come up to the camera.
You need my
dumbass.
name? You're taking my picture for some
Yeah,
reason.
you're in public. Don't
For
come
what?
up to a
What
camera.
my picture for?
Get the out of my face.
What are you
Get
gonna?
the out of my face. He come right up to me, man. I didn't do him.
I know, I saw.
I
What's
didn't
your
do him, man.
name? I haven't asked any question. What's your name?
I ain't giving you my name.
Why not? Why Sergeant Arizi?
I don't have to give you my name.
Well, I know that.
I'm just standing here.
I know, but I'm asking you to give me your name.
I'm not giving you my name
Why? Give me a reason.
because I don't have to.
Well, I know that.
I don't have to give you my name. I'm just standing here, not doing anything
Okay, let
wrong.
me explain something to you. You do not have to give me your name. You have not broken
I
the
am
law.
not giving you my
But I'm
name.
asking you to give my name.
I'm asking you to give my name.
I'm not giving you my name
Why?
because I don't have to.
I already know that.
Well, then what are
You
you
wanna
still
give your
doing
name?
here?
You know I know your name.
What's my name have to do with anything?
I'm curious who you are.
I'm a person just standing here with a camera. That's
Well, I think that's obvious.
I mean, I'm
When
not
these guys-
doing
But when
nobody.
these medics are here, give them a little distance, okay?
Well, was I up in the come up to my camera and got in my face?
Because
Belly
you guys are
bumping me,
still
man.
getting a little bit close.
Close, you going on over
All I'm
there.
asking is to keep a little distance.
I am. He come up to me. I didn't say
Make
to
any
him.
sense.
You're not making any sense. What are you doing?
Why are you taking my picture?
You're in public.
You need my name? Get the face. You need my name? Shoot to the camera. You need my name? You're taking my picture for some reason. You're in public. Get the picture for. Get the my face. Get the out of my face.
Back up a little bit.
He come right up to me, man. I didn't do him.
I know, I saw.
I
What's
didn't
your
do
name?
shit. That's uncalled for.
Be nice. I was walking past you. I was like sliding past you, officer, and you got to give me orders. I'm on it. You are at least your age. I know how to freaking walk down the sidewalk. Be nice. Don't give me orders, bro. I do this without you. Where were you the last 50 years of my life?
What's your problem,
Right? I
man?
can do this without you. You know your job is not to give me orders. It looks
Do
like
you
your
do you
job
do you
is
not get a paycheck
leave me alone.
from tax dollars? I can take pictures.
Don't ask.
Yeah, you pay your taxes after I give them to you.
I pay my taxes.
Yeah, after you get a tax check from me.
That was uncalled for, coming up and getting in my face. I didn't ask what your name was. I didn't say nothing to you.
I want to get that headlight fixed in that rig. You guys have a good one, man. Hey, bro,
Let's stop it right there. And I see that. Let's see. Danny? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, just fine. Just fine.
Okay.
Yeah. How are you doing?
All right. How are you guys?
Good. Good. So
I'm gonna
obviously this
turn
is famous.
Good.
I'm gonna turn the avatar on, that way it doesn't like slow down or mess with our Wi-Fi or nothing.
Okay.
Because
Yeah,
I don't
no
have Wi-Fi.
Yeah, no
All right.
problem at all.
All right. Hello, everybody.
Okay. Hello. So thank you for joining us on the live. Now, what I'd like to ask you, what do you like to be called? Daniel? Danny? Dan? What's your...
Most people just call me Danny.
Yeah, okay, because Danny wants to keep flowing out of my mouth. So I appreciate that.
I like Danny.
So Danny, can you let say anyone that's going to watch this video and the viewers that are watching now that say don't understand what it is that you yourself and say Freedom to Film, the people that you know are trying to project, out there by going and doing your films, which, I personally love, by the way.
All right. Well, we're out there for accountability. The reason you brought it up earlier, sometimes when you're recording police and their interactions in the public, when there's not a camera around, even though they wear a body camera, we have seen instances where they still act unprofessional. They use force that's not necessary or reasonable. When the camera shows up, the attitude, the demeanor, and behavior changes.
Right.
Another problem that we have, personally, in my experience, a lot of people don't even know my experience with South Bend specifically, but I was recording them abusing an animal in the alley. And when I approached an officer, he ripped my phone out of my hands and arrested me.
Wow.
That officer being Nathan Stepp, who's the one that stepped out the 25 feet on Brookfield and violated our rights by backing us up further than 25 feet. So they're all right. So you have personal experiences with how law enforcement deals with people, and you know from firsthand experience, and then you use your firsthand experience to say, you know what, we need to bring attention to these things.
Right.
Absolutely.
It's not vindictive on our parts. It takes a certain kind of individual to do what we do, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Can I ask you, Danny, can I ask you, like, your intent on going out and videoing incidences? It's from my understanding is it's not to catch the police, if you will, in a situation where they'll be embarrassed. You're out there to inform the public of things that are going on, correct?
Absolutely.
And so, I know that your goal is not to put them in a got you moment, if you will.
That's right.
They put themselves in a got you moment.
I cannot make another man make decisions for himself, especially when they have the utmost training available to them in any situation. So that, they're trained, they should be trained to de-escalate a situation. All right. They should be trained to, I wouldn't say turn a blind eye to things, because, obviously nobody does. We all have feelings.
Right.
But at the same time, when you are representing a city and a department, you represent that city and that department with professionalism at all times. That's their policy.
Right.
Okay, in any situation. You remember the old saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me.
Yep.
Okay. I've had officers come up to me and for no reason approach me just to interfere with my filming of what's going on, just to be a distraction. I call it, it's like a rodeo clown.
Right.
Okay. They're there to distract you, you know, so, or shoo you the other way.
Right.
It's not about my personal experiences as much as what I read. I read a lot of case law. I read the lawsuits. I pay attention to public corruption as a whole. A lot of people don't realize that because we don't get a lot of time to go over every little detail of it. I'm not old enough
Right.
to where I want to sit down on a panel and go over all this stuff yet, for the simple fact that going out and videotaping and, you know, being having a family, having kids and other responsibilities on top of it, you can only do so much. Editing videos takes time, you know that, Sonny.
Absolutely.
I really don't even like to edit the videos. You know, if an officer wants to bring himself onto my camera, he has the choice. It doesn't matter who it is. If you walk up to my camera, I always say this, or Freedom's camera or anybody's camera in this country, it's not about me. It's about what's happening in our country. We're losing our rights every day. If you walk up to a camera, you have the opportunity to represent yourself either in a good way or a bad way.
Well,
That's plain and simple. That's like advertisement. We'll film, and you know, they like auditing, like when you go audit certain places that are connected to the government or contracted with the government, those entities have an opportunity to represent themselves in a professional manner, or they show their true colors. And that's part of it. So that's what it comes down to. I like to observe interactions, how the officer's interacting with the people that they're dealing with in public. I like to, you know, see what basically their techniques they're using or reasons they're using, if they're lawful, to stop you at a traffic stop. You know, there's all kinds of things that go into it. But at the same time, it's not a personal vendetta. It's not for clicks and views. 9 times out of 10, when we go live in a situation that we're in, if we're going live, it's for our own protection.
Right.
So that you know, they can't twist the narrative or lie on you. It protects you from being lied on or accused of something that you did not do in a certain situation. And it also is about accountability. There is a portion of it that is the chat. You have people that are dedicated to our channels, that support us, that like what we do. So yes, we interact with our chat. And to be point blank honest with you, if it wasn't for the First Amendment of the Constitution in this country, we would not even be able to be on this social media platform right now
Absolutely.
and
So-
saying what we're saying.
I was going to say, so let me just quickly. So CJK, who I can tell is more towards like the opposite of what you're saying, you can tell. So CJK says, but why is it this guy's rule to record and inform others? But before you answer that, Danny, I'm just going to say this. So we all know that the media pushes the narrative of whatever they want to, and you are really gullible if you believe everything that you see in the media. But that becomes really a person's source. Really, it used to be always a person's source where to get information from. But you know that with media, again, they just push a narrative. They're totally are out there to get their views. You know, it's usually not so much of the compassion and care behind it as much as it is that they're producing what really is entertainment to get the clicks and views. And again, I think of Prince William, I think it was it Prince William? which is that the dirty bird there, the prince. That was
Andrew.
yeah, that one. Thank you, Prince Andrew. And I think about how a lot of news stations weren't allowed to cover the true facts behind that case. Again, whereas you have, to me, people, again, using their First Amendment rights that are allowed to record. Now, don't get me wrong. There are people out there doing this for the wrong reasons. I'm not here to promote them. I'm not talking about the people that are literally just doing it for self-absorbed or abuse their First Amendment in a sense, and they really get into the faces of the police officers or the fire department or whoever, to be honest with you, and they're literally provoking something to happen. To me, again, this is different. You're allowed to go record, and you should be grateful that people have the ability to actually record so that you do see more of the truth out there. Instead, imagine a world where all we ever had to go by was, just the news and that's it anymore. Instead of having people out there that are trying to show the truth of what's going on. And I know from Danny's channel, now I don't know Freedom to Film, but I know it's for the same reasons. They're out there for the fact of trying to bring awareness to the corruption, but not that they're specifically going out there to that. Because I know on Danny's channel, on Famously, I always say that wrong, don't I? Famously Unfamous, right? He goes out there, he listens to the scanners, and if there's something going on, they follow. And again, it's just trying to keep people clean. The good cops will always be clean, and the bad cops, but it's about being accountable for their actions. So I, for one, think that for me personally, like a statement like this, is very naive to me personally in thinking, because you want the truth to be shown out there. But again, there's always the good and the bad. It doesn't matter where you are, who you work for, but there's really good people like Famously Unfamous channel that just try to bring awareness. They're just there filming. They're not trying to sit there and distract from what the police are doing. And they're just trying to provide coverage. And if a police officer or this guy in the fire department here, does something wrong, then they're obviously caught on film because it was their actions. And like we've always said, nobody's in charge of your own actions but yourself. You're in charge of. What'd you say there? No, I was just gonna say at the end of the day, no, absolutely.
All right. I'm going to give you a perfect example. Are you able to pull up like a LinkedIn account of a public official?
Yeah, I don't have LinkedIn though, but I can.
Oh, you don't need it. It'll show you without having it.
Sure. Okay.
Okay. I'm going to give you a prime example. Okay. A lot of times what people don't understand is that the body cams sometimes become missing, damaged, or it didn't render conveniently of the officers. F2F knows because we were at the same scene. We recorded an incident where a person was pinned to the ground on Prass Street in South Bend on the northwest side. It was the very first day of the use of force training guidelines coming out. There was a knee put on the neck. There was force used that was not necessary, and the person was never charged with what happened. Now, if you look at the South Bend Police Department, look at their public relations officer, Ashley O. Chap. It's Ashley O. Chap. Okay.
So is this the LinkedIn one you're speaking about? Or sorry.
Yeah. Ashley O. Chap.
You don't by chance just have the link to send me in my messenger, do you?
I can look it up.
So
I'll send it.
Okay. Mm-hmm. While you're doing that, just quickly, I want just to tell people so we can move off from this gentleman here. That the City Board of Public Safety has suspended firefighter Lance Gunderson for 5 days without pay ordered him to complete an anger management training and banned him from signing up for overtime for 30 days as punishment for his behavior toward two men who were filming firefighters and police during an incident. Fire Chief Carl Buchanan recommended the discipline in a letter to the board dated 4 days after the June 13th incident, according to the records the Tribune obtained through Access Public Records Act request. So I want to let you guys know that this gentleman was, like I said, did have repercussions for his actions. And CJK, I'm just quickly going to say this too. CJK, I absolutely disagree with you. They were out there recording. Okay. That fireman. Okay. Wait, what did they do to provoke? They were filming. They were using their First Amendment rights. That fireman literally came towards them. They didn't start anything. The fireman is totally in the wrong, hence why the repercussions happened to him. So I totally disagree with you on that, even though you know we all have the right to our opinions and thoughts on this channel. Now, go ahead, Dan.
I sent it to you.
Okay, let me just come and I'll open it up. Just give me a sec here. Okay, okay. It's only because you said "oh chap" and I'm like, oh great, those ones with the O'Sullivan and whatever. So let me hit stop screen there. Share screen. Okay. Okay.
All right, and I'm gonna.
So South Bend Public Information, South Bend Police Department. That obviously stands for.
Yep.
SBPD. Ashley O'Chap.
Now, if you scroll down,
okay,
you'll see where she used to work.
Oh, okay. This is the one that you sent. Right. Okay. So she worked at Media Liaison South Bend Police Department. Then she was a marketing coordinator. And then she started working for which is the most current one. 2000.
She's the South Bend Police Department spokesperson right now.
Okay. So previously she was with WSBT.TV. Okay, guys. And then she moved on to be a South Bend Police Department. Now go ahead with your point there, Danny.
What and before and what was she at WSBT?
She was a morning executive producer.
All right. And what was the job before that?
She was a newscast producer, web content manager. And before that, So before that, she was a web intern at the South Bend Tribune. Okay.
Yes, the South Bend Tribune is the main newspaper here. And WSBT is owned by Sinclair Broadcasting, which is the SBT in that name means South Bend Tribune.
Okay.
So that is the reason people go out into the streets to get the stories, because WSBT interviewed me with the video of the knee on the neck, and they buried the story. They didn't show the story. They acted like the reporter was going to show the story and investigate it. The charges disappeared on Antonio O'Neill, and these are the reasons why. So that's the example of why we are out here in the streets independently gathering information to be disseminated to others to make a decision for themselves.
Yeah. Yep. Sorry, I know you know more. Go ahead.
I can't be no clearer than that on it. That's about the best example I can give you. If you think that a lot of these officers do not live in the city of South Bend, that's a fact. They live in Granger, Indiana. They live in North Liberty, Indiana. They live in Walkerton, Indiana. They live in Lakeville, Indiana. You know, they don't live in the community that they serve. The same thing goes with your lawyers, your judges, and other individuals that are in city leadership. Now, when you're on the city council, you're supposed to live in your district. There's been reports of them owning a property or a house, but they have another house. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
they all live in these lavish communities together, golf course communities at that. And they rub a lot of elbows. Let's just say that. A lot of these officers date people that are in media, date people that are in law firms, or married to them. Same thing with public servants. The relationship between South Bend City, its residents, and the leadership, there's a void there. And it shows in a lot of meetings and in a lot of closed meetings that we don't watch or we don't get to see. But that's exactly, we are just tax dollars to them, okay?
Yeah.
You've got the University of Notre Dame, a very big college. You guys have heard of it. Everybody knows what Notre Dame is. The Fighting Irish of Notre Dame, one of the biggest law schools in the state of Indiana. And a majority, if you look at these LinkedIn accounts, you can see where a majority of them either go to Indiana University or else they go to Notre Dame. There used to be Vincennes Law School, but or Valparaiso Law School, sorry, not Vincennes, Valparaiso, and the law school's, not there anymore. So you've got judges like Judge John Marnoka that is a professor at Notre Dame. You've got a lot of these people that came out of Notre Dame and they are in city leadership, and a lot of the money and everything and agendas are functioned around what Notre Dame is. But when you get into the city of South Bend and the residents, they're forgotten by these people.
Gotcha. Now, just quickly, do you mind if I play this clip right now of the one where that the ACLU?
No.
Do you
Is
mind?
that the short video?
It is. Yeah, I watched the long version the other day myself.
Yeah, it's more content appropriate. I beeped out some of the language, as you know. It's
Well, yeah.
his. My rights are trampled on. You can expect me to stand up for them. If you
Yeah.
lay down and be submissive to tyrannical behavior, you're going to lose a lot more than just your rights.
Hello, Robert Bex. How are you? Absolutely. So let's play this video. So do you want to give, again, do you just want to tell everyone the premise of this video before I play it again?
Yes, this is when in July 1st, the 25-foot house rule became a law, and it gave the cops, police and emergency personnel, basically, like it says it right in the video, unblanketed, authority. So therefore, the whole point is we deal with this a lot where an officer, when we come up to a scene, they do not like the cameras because they're afraid of being caught doing something that they're not supposed to do. It makes them nervous because they have to follow policies and procedures and abide by the law because they know they're being watched, okay?
Absolutely.
And what happens is they'll try to back you up or enforce an invisible perimeter. And the rule is it's supposed to be marked out, okay? It is supposed to be marked out. There's supposed to be barrels or cones or else tape pulled. They have to establish a perimeter.
Right.
It can't be an invisible barrier. Many times they'll come up to us and tell us to back up, and then they'll let other people, cars drive through an area that they're saying that's closed off to the public, or they'll let people walk down the road right up into their scene, and they will not say anything to them, but they'll say something to the cameras. And I'm not trying to get nobody in trouble in the public because they don't know. But at the same time, once they back you up, like in this instance, they backed us up, which I knew was more than 25 feet anyways, because I've done excavating and I understand how the surveyor's marks work, and we've went around town with a tape measure and measured this stuff out. Me and F2F have on sidewalks, and from the center of the sidewalk mostly to the white line on the road is 25 feet. just a general idea of what it is and how far it is. We know because we have went that far to check it, okay?
Yeah.
In main areas that we film in. And what happened was we walked up and Stepp was across the street. Nathan Stepp. He was across the street. And as soon as he seen the cameras walking up closer, he walked across the street and told us that we had to stand back. But there was an incident going on the opposite side of the road where he was securing where the shell casings, because a shots fired call went off. And they were there picking up shell casings. So they were across the street picking up shell casings, more than 25 feet away from that. Nothing was marked out. We went on the opposite side of the road intentionally to stay away from them. And he decides to come across the street and enforce the 25-foot law when people on a porch were having an altercation with the police, and we were trying to get to that so we could see what was going on.
Okay.
And then while he was doing that, he went and talked to another one of his officers, which would have been Officer Vail, V-E-A-L, and Officer Rodriguez. Officer Rodriguez came up and he says, I don't understand why you guys are so upset. Well, because you're encroaching on, you're violating our rights. That's why we're upset. Officer Vail comes up, and that's when he tells us, this is my crime scene. I'm the crime scene tech. Get back another 25 feet. New law. Well, when he said that, the law is the law. It's 25 feet. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not 50 feet. It's not 26 feet. It's not 25 feet 1 inch. It's 25 feet. And they don't, a crime scene tech, I'd think, would have a tape measure, I'd hope, or know how to read one. But that's what the video is. And that's why, thank you to Mr. Ken Falk of the ACLU, an attorney of Indiana for 40 something years. Thank you. Thank you, because there are not a lot of attorneys that will defend us, okay? Because they rub elbows with these same leaders that went to the same law school at Notre Dame with them. So I thank Ken Falk for that at the ACLU.
Right.
But
yes.
that is what this video is about. And I thank Freedom for taking the initiative to actually, just in his mind to say, you know what, I'm going to reach out because this is bullcrap. And that's where we are today.
Yeah. Okay. Now, just before I play the video, hey, Ray, your little one had a happy birthday. Sorry,
And
I'm
I
just
like to add something, though, to that.
Sure.
I've noticed, because as well as I do, from Kokomo, Indiana, all the way to the northern part of Indiana, I've filmed in a lot of areas in between there and here.
Yeah.
And I've dealt with bad cops, good cops, whatever, professional or unprofessional, I will put it. That's how I'll put it, either professional or unprofessional. When I filmed on that bridge in Peru, Indiana, them state police, at least, how many were in that river? How many were on that bridge? They never, ever, ever tried to push me back or encroach on my right to document what was going on whatsoever, even as sensitive of a case as it was. They never tried to push me around. And then to come into areas like this and be pushed around, and what we know, and each officers that we learn their attitudes and their, their relationship with the community and how they act. You learn their behavior and their demeanor. There are certain ones in South Bend that are totally professional, and there are a lot that are unprofessional. And it's agenda-driven propaganda that they're pushing in this city. And I've noticed ever since this lawsuit with the ACLU, and just before that they have been trying to put a stranglehold on accountability from the cameras, or anybody exercising their right for that matter. But ever since the suit was filed, I feel like there is a deliberate indifference towards me and F2F and others that film purposely, and because they're trying to push a narrative to defend themselves against their wrongdoings. And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Well, let's play it. Let me just go over to it and play it here. Thank you. This one is about 1:40. Oops. I think I have.
Sometimes you might want to pause it. Like, I don't think people can read it all the way of what the ACLU had said. So,
Sure.
like, what I do is, like, in them shorts is pause it and read what it says, and then you know how it goes.
Yeah. I'll play it out first.
Yep. That's fine.
I have a First Amendment right to fucking film whatever I can see in public.
$15, $16, $17, $18, $19, $20, $21, $22, $23, $24, $25. Don't pass here. Stay back.
Put some tape
I
on.
bet you if I pull I bet you if I pull the surveyor's measurements, that's more
Pull
than
some
25
tape.
feet.
You guys don't have nothing
I'm bringing a
marking
25
where
foot
the
fucking
scene
tape
is, and then you start abusing that 25 foot.
This is my crime. Should get 25 feet back.
He already told us right here it was okay.
How many 25 feet you want? No, you'll go to jail.
Well,
Push
then
back
we'll go to
25
jail.
feet. I'm telling you, this is my
25
scene.
feet.
This is my scene.
Hey,
New
what-
law
what's
and order.
the- what's the-
Go back
what's
25
the
feet.
issue?
You're afraid that somebody's gonna catch something that you're doing wrong.
You guys are starting to turn against, people with cameras.
They're gonna back you up 25 feet and then back you up more. 25 feet is 25 feet. It's not 50 feet. It's not 26 feet. It's not 25 feet 1 inch. You don't fuck with me and my rights.
Exactly. Okay, so
Wow.
let's
That
go.
was the ACLU's video of,
Right.
they're just a highlight of what happened, and it is what it is. I mean, you have a freedom of speech. When your rights are violated, it's better than reacting in a violent way.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know about an Indiana law where it gives when they're violating your rights, especially in your automobile or your home or property you have permission to protect, or if you witness a third party being assaulted, IC 3541 3-2 gives you the authority to use force up to deadly force. You got to remember, when these officers are violating your rights, we're not armed. They're armed to the teeth, and they're violating your rights.
Okay.
Well, herein lies the problem, in my opinion, as far as this law is concerned. You're giving an unsanctioned amount of authority to police and firefighters, whatever, when it comes to like this 25-foot law. Like we just saw in this video, there were several examples of officers taking into their own action as far as what they consider 25 feet. And, we then see the rights of citizens being infringed upon, because you could have a crime scene set and say you're 25 feet away, and another officer walks up and says, no, I want you 25 feet away from where I am right now. And then that unequivocally becomes the new crime scene. That makes no sense. And that's why a law like this, like I said earlier, I think is bullshit. Because it doesn't set the parameters as far as the freedom of speech, and the First Amendment is like, I just don't think it sets even playing ground for everyone.
No, and here's the thing: 25 feet's 25 feet. What if your deaf child was walking home? What if your deaf child was walking home from a friend's house and walks around the corner and doesn't know, can't hear
Right.
what they're?
Well, and like I said, I mean, I just feel like, does that mean that every single officer that walks up and says 25 feet, that means
Right.
25 feet from them at that given moment?
That they will push you 2 blocks away if they can, Adam.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, I think that in that point, that 25 feet becomes 175 feet.
That's right.
Well, let's go to the. I want to go to this comment by Kel, which it says, "How close do you need to be to film what they are doing?"
All right. Well, here's a perfect example. Okay.
Depends on your
If I'm
camera.
if I'm on the sidewalk and I'm trying to observe what this officer's doing, people don't realize this, but there are officers out there that will plant evidence during a vehicle search. That has happened. That's documented. It's in lawsuits. It's been caught on body cameras of their own while they were doing it. So I'm not trying to stand right there and hold their belt loop and watch them, but close enough for me to observe them carrying out their duties. That's what it's for. I understand if you're trying to interfere. Interfering is a physical. That's physical. Right. It's not by someone being on the sidewalk. You know, I understand that if, you know, somebody's disrupting them from carrying out their duties physically, right, or creating, you know, like the rodeo clown thing they do to us from filming, you know, well, you turn that the other way where you're, you know, we try not to do that because there is a fine line with that.
Well, and that's called obstruction of justice. So,
right. Well,
I mean, there are laws against preventing
yes,
law enforcement officers from doing their duty.
Well, you pointed it out well, like Sonny, and you know, it raises my ears, you know, like I've had officers finish doing their scene in South Bend, Indiana, and they'll say, "I'm done with what I got to do. You guys can go up and record all you want." That's Officer Cox. He's told us he's never given us a problem. You have to have that respect. They know that you're going to give them that respect, and you know they're going to give you that respect. You know, it's right. It's like, you know, he has a job to do, and I have a job to do, which is to exercise my rights. And
here's and you know, and I'm sorry, but I don't care what your job is, but if you can't be filmed doing your job, even if it's from 5 feet away, without fear of being exposed for something, that's a problem.
Have you ever been to the New York City subway? Or
1,000,000 times.
You know, to the Loop in Chicago?
Right. I've been on the L 1,000,000 times. These
officers and these people in these communities don't realize how many people are really in the public at any given time. And could you imagine being in one of them subway tunnels and telling people that they had to back up? How much business you would hurt that train company by telling them to back up 25 feet, or on the subway itself? Like, honestly, do you see what I'm saying though?
Absolutely.
You're in bigger cities, you know, where it doesn't matter. You got Indianapolis, you got, you know, East Chicago. It doesn't matter.
You want to know my honest opinion on this law? I feel like this law is a direct result of the fear local law enforcement feels from seeing what happened in Minneapolis with George Floyd.
That's a good example of it. It's also, you got to remember that these officers, you know, they take an oath to a fraternity, a fraternal order of police. A police union backs them up. They have qualified immunity, you know, so Absolutely. They have all these protections in place for them to basically do what they want anyways. But yet when they find out that people are finding ways to hold them accountable or observe what they're doing, that is exactly right. What you just said, Adam, that's exactly how this law got voted in, is by the police unions, you know, lobbying the politicians.
They don't want the liability of it.
That's right. And you know, they want their, that's right. That's exactly right. And there's been a numerous instances in South Bend alone. Like just yesterday, a Christian group was, I mean, I don't know what they were, I don't care if they were protesting or what they were doing, or I don't think they were being physical, but at the same time, this is we have to have these discussions in our communities.
Right.
Whether I don't like what you're doing or you don't like what I'm doing, sometimes it's just good to disagree to disagree.
Absolutely. Like I personally don't think that it. I personally would not have a child outside of Planned Parenthood because of the fear I would have of them getting hurt protesting.
Right.
But
Right.
I
Right.
support the fact that people stand outside of Planned Parenthoods and protest the fact that they perform procedures in those locations that they don't like.
Right.
And whether or not they have a child outside of that location while they do that demonstration, that's their choice.
Right. But exactly, we can't control that because you know it's just it's the 14th Amendment to parent how you see fit. Unfortunately, I mean, fortunately, because I wouldn't want, I do not trust the government raising my child. I don't trust, you know, anybody else with my child, except maybe close family or somebody I trust. You understand what I'm getting at? So
Yeah.
But you know, we have to have dialogue in order to, you know, make things better in this country. If everybody just cuts everybody out and shuts them off, then we don't have anything to depend on except for the policymakers and the lobbyists and the state legislature, right, that don't understand real life, how we live it. They don't live the life we live. They live a hunky-dory life. And if you want them type of people to run your life and tell you how you're going to live in your home or how you're going to walk down the street, then we might as well just lay down and roll over and let them give it to us, because that's where it's heading in this country.
Right.
If people don't, you know, come together and figure out how to either disagree to disagree or come together and make changes for the better. And the only way that you're going to make changes, especially in your public officials, they are public servants. They are serving us, the community.
Right.
And you're telling me that, all right, you know what's so embarrassing about it is, okay, this law is basically them self-admitting that they are afraid to deal with the public. Do you understand that? Like,
yeah,
that pays them their paycheck, that they serve, that they are that afraid of the public that they would go and make a law to keep you away from watching what they're doing.
Right, because they don't want the liability of what the Minneapolis Police Department was held liable for.
I mean, there's a bunch of cases, like even, you know, like Eric Logan here in South Bend, Indiana.
Yeah.
That officer that killed this individual, his body camera wasn't on. He said the person had, you know, it's his word against it's the other person's at that point because there's no proof of it. But
is it mandatory is it mandatory to have their cameras on?
Yes, I think it's an A misdemeanor if you're supposed to have your body camera on anytime you interact with the public, but they leave that room for the error, like saying that, well, the body cam was damaged or it failed to upload, or it was,
or they just put their hand over it.
That's right, and they do that a lot too. Like, if you ever notice when they hold their chest plate, I say this a lot, that it's either a nervous habit or in certain situations I see them grab their chest where they got all this equipment, and it's to point the camera away from what's going on. They know these techniques to grab the front of their shirt and move their camera a certain way so that the angle's off.
Right. Well, no, I mean, I know police officers that have told me personally that they don't want to deal with that in the quotes. They don't want to deal with that shit. So they
Yeah.
point their camera away.
That's right, because
And
that's
they make
exactly,
it, and they do it in a very, a manner that makes
exactly.
it look natural.
Well, the officer that Neil is the officer that shot and killed Mr. Logan, and it was found out that this officer was having sex in his patrol car with a prostitute. You can look that up. It's on Google. There is another officer in South Bend, Indiana, that got caught seducing a 16-year-old little girl, teenager, in his patrol car and intimidating her. I would like to have the opportunity to, if I'm walking and I'm filming down the street, to document that and not be pushed back and obscured from
Okay.
wrongdoing.
So, Danny, Kelt says, sir, are you upset with the 25-foot part? Are you arguing a person can film as close that they like?
I believe that it's unconstitutional, just like it was ruled in Arizona. The ACLU fought that too. I believe that if you work for the public and you can't interact with the public, then you don't belong in public service.
I mean,
That's
at
fair.
the end, I was going to say, I mean, at the end of the day, well, first of all, watching that video, it makes me angry that, again, it's just an abuse of power. You were already 25 feet. The guy was, marked it out. And then the other guy comes along and basically says, new law, my crime scene, push back another 25 feet. Clearly, blatantly, just an abuse of that rule.
That's the
And
problem with it.
right, and my thing is this, again, is that there's people out there that are trying to do good, that are trying to bring, it's like I said, lots of times at these scenes, right, and you can tell because I've watched a lot of them, is that it's not like most people are going there to try to cause conflict. They're
Right.
just recording and trying to keep everything on the up and up. There should be
Right.
no problem with that. It's your First Amendment right to do so. And then,
Right.
of course,
Well, they
Nor
need
are
to-
90% of the officers on scene trying to do anything nefarious. They're just trying to do their job. So I mean, for any criticism people are saying, like, oh well, you just don't like the police. I mean,
Right.
the police are paid by the public, and the police, sadly, they should be held accountable for the fact that nothing they do shouldn't be transparent. And like I said, 90% of the people that you have on film are doing nothing wrong. The problem lies when people infringe on constitutional rights to hide from the fact that they're doing something wrong.
They're putting a 25-foot distance and a restriction on your constitutional rights. So
Right.
if they can put 25 feet on your constitutional rights, what else are they going to limit in the Constitution? I mean, that's, if you believe in the Constitution, and that's exactly how laws are written and based off of when you go to the Supreme Court, they base it off of the Constitution. They base the laws that they enforce against you off the Constitution. Then maybe we shouldn't keep attacking the Constitution, and we should start figuring out how to fix the policies and the ways we operate things and make it a better place. Because when you push the public away and you make every person in public feel like that they have to stay 25 feet from you. I mean, Jiminy Christmas, when we had the flu, it was only 6 feet.
right,
Right.
yes, yeah. Now, just quickly, are they trying to overturn this bill, this law?
they're trying to make it so it's, they're not trying to make it. It's declaratory relief. It's right in the federal courthouse right here in South Bend, Indiana, 7th District, Northern District of Indiana. They wanted them to
Who's they?
declare
Who's
the
they?
ACLU, the
I was gonna
ACLU,
say. Okay.
and they represent everybody that films. It's not just, like Freedom will tell you, he's not in this for money. He didn't
Right.
file it for money. It's declaratory relief's not money. It's the judge will declare that the law is either constitutional or unconstitutional. And if they declare that it does have a constitutional, I don't think it's constitutionally right, but if it is, then there's going to be parameters set by that court that they're
Right.
going to have to adhere to. So it's going to clarify the law.
Right.
It's going to, the questions that me and you have right now and everybody else is obvious.
Right.
Even the people that supposedly support it, or the people that support, everything that the police do, no matter how wrong they are, support it, then there has to be parameters to it. And a reason why, it's enforced, not just, nope, 25 feet back. I mean, that's the authority. It's like it's an unfettered authority. What are we going to do? Just hand out a 25-foot safety bubble to all of our police to blow up and put around them when they get on shift?
Right. And 25 feet from what? 25
Yeah.
feet from
From
this
what?
officer, or 25 feet from the officer that walks 50 feet away?
It becomes a hell of a pinball game in public, and it doesn't just apply to cameramen. That's what
the
people.
problem.
It applies to anyone. That applies to even local media.
Right. And
It
that's
applies.
the problem. We with the laws in the United States, there's a level of subjectivity and objectivity, and laws should not be subject to the personal decisions of those that are enforcing them.
Now, I don't want to sit on their lap or ride along with them in their car and distract them and ask them a bunch of questions about, wow, what's this thing on your computer for? And, they're not going to allow you. If you ask to do a ride along, they're not allowing you to take a camera with you. You can ride with them all day long.
Right. And then sadly, questioning the laws and arguing creates more distance, which again should not be a factor when it comes to a transparent judicial system.
Well, here's how I feel about it. If the way they're enforcing it is on cameras,
right?
And if they feel like that the camera can't be within 25 feet of them, then I feel like then they shouldn't be 25 feet within the camera.
Right. Well, and like Shelley says, 25 feet from the crime scene, I believe, right? But Shelley, okay, one officer can say you're 25 feet away. Another officer can literally walk 15 feet further away and say, now this is the crime scene.
Like
That's the problem. Is there's no transparency in the rules that they're being governed by. So
Well,
25 feet is 25 feet. And I understand people needing space to do their job, but that's for decades and decades and decades has been what police tape is for.
I was going to say exactly. That's exactly, again, set up barriers so that people know what the barrier is.
Right.
But you had one guy walking out.
So there should be a standardized form, 25 feet. If that's the law in Indiana, I'll respect the law. But that 25 feet means that 25 feet should be where that police tape is set up.
But they don't do that. I've seen them take an entire roll of police tape and waste it on a whole neighborhood just because the cameras are there. That we've dealt with that before too.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
They used to use a fire code.
There should be a standardized
Just
scenario in which they in which this happens.
I mean, you have a traffic stop and somebody pulls into the gas station. They're going to shut down a business for this.
Yeah. Only because we're only at the 1.5 hour mark. Do you mind if I play this video that you sent me about the South Bend tapes case? Do you mind if I play that?
That I want to bring that up. Can I elaborate on that in a minute?
Sure, absolutely.
All right. There was police. The South Bend police tapes were recorded on, supposedly they call it a secret line, but the judge in that case stated that it should be assumed that any line in a public building is being recorded and monitored. You ever call to your city or anybody, a government building, and they say this call may be recorded for quality assurance purposes?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Now, these tapes, this is from back in 2012. They have spent millions of dollars fighting for these tapes to not be released to the public, but they're spending taxpayer dollars and using city attorneys to fight it. It's supposed to be going through but there were a lot of things recorded on those lines inside the police department, and Karen DePape was basically fired for revealing it. The ex-police chief, Daryl Boykin, was fired over it, and they've been hiding it since 2012. That's what got me started that's before I even did YouTube or anything. We marched for them tapes years ago. So I've been around a long time. You got to remember, this is where our transportation secretary came from, Pete Buttigieg. He is best friends with Mark Zuckerberg. And any of us that make a Facebook page or try to speak out in the community can tell you how throttled that Facebook page is. It only gets viewed by who shares it.
Yeah.
And that's fact. So
Facebook's
go
really
ahead.
bad. Yeah, let me play it, guys. We'll play it, and let's see here. Get it a little bit and make it bigger. Full screen. Okay.
Controversial South Bend police tapes. After more than a decade of legal battles, the case was back in court today to determine if the recordings should finally be made public once and for all. ABC 57's Julianne Grahowski is live outside the courthouse in Mishawaka, where a new judge is taking over. Julianne?
Brian, after nearly 12 years, the South Bend police tapes case is one step closer to being resolved in court. In a Mishawaka courtroom this afternoon, a new judge spoke with the attorneys on the case, figured out ways to speed up a decision. Back in 2011, the director of communications at the South Bend Police Department, Karen DePape, found some phone lines at headquarters were being secretly recorded, some officers allegedly using racial slurs and making potentially unethical comments during some of those conversations. The South Bend Common Council at the time hired an attorney to subpoena the tapes, but that move sparked a series of legal challenges, hearings, appeals, and delays. This past August, the South Bend Common Council requested the ongoing lawsuit to be transferred to the Indiana Supreme Court, following a decision in June by the Indiana Court of Appeals, remanding the case to lower courts to see if the tapes were legally recorded and subject to public release. But in January, the Indiana Supreme Court turned that request down, deciding to not hear the case. That brings us to today, the case now being heard under a new judge in a Mishawaka courtroom after the previous judge recused himself from the case last month. And what they decided today is, one, the attorneys will have 2 weeks to decide if that judge should continue to hear the case. 2, they both will have 60 days to file a joint status report to provide an overall background on the case. And 3, in the report, the attorneys will recommend a potential mediator with the goal of productivity and moving forward with the case.
The judges of the Court of Appeals and Judge Hostetler both encouraged the parties to discuss if there's a way to attempt to resolve this matter short of having a trial or further legal proceedings in a way to expedite resolution of this matter and bring conclusion to it.
Now, shortly after that joint status report is filed and the judge has enough time to review it, there will be another status conference to discuss the facts of the case and then find more ways to move forward. So the long running.
Okay, it stops right there. Now, holy crap. Since 2011, because I knew when you said 2012, I remember hearing 2011. So 2011 and it's 2023. That's absolutely absurd.
I mean, do you want to know why they're not releasing them? They're
Yeah.
protecting each other because of pensions. They want these guys to be able to retire, get their pensions, and scratch each other's back and kick the can down the road long enough.
Right.
That is the same courthouse that Freedom to Film was arrested at for filming on the sidewalk. And they didn't charge him, they released him, but they arrested him, threw him on the ground, and took him to jail because he was standing outside of that courthouse filming one day.
Really?
Yes.
So that's always gets me.
They have a lot to hide in this in this area that I'm aware of. Now, I can't speak for every cameraman. I can speak for certain things that I've observed and that I've observed with other cameramen, but I can assure you that this doesn't just go on in South Bend, Indiana.
No,
because I've experienced it in other areas throughout the whole state. Look at Carroll County. Are you kidding? Could you imagine how they would treat me and Freedom if we went to Carroll County tonight?
Right. Yeah.
Well, they need it. They need it. But that's how that's how you observe how they're interacting with the public. Are the stories true? We get emails. We have emails. People email us and tell us of experiences. People ask us things that we can't give them advice on. We can't give you legal advice. We can discuss what the Constitution is and the law is, but we can't advise you on how to handle a case or write a motion for you in the court, But I can tell you that we have a constitutional right to do this or that, or not have to do this or that. And being educated in that, they hate that. They do not like an educated public, but they're the first ones to tell you that ignorance of the law is no excuse.
Yeah. Hey, question. Meme Helen says, got a question. Can you record inside a police station in the USA?
In publicly accessible areas.
Yes.
But with this 25-foot rule, who's to know how one of these guys are going to act? They're going to come out there, they don't like the camera, and tell you 25 feet.
5 feet.
It's not an emergency incident area, but they'll make it one. And then they're attacking us now is what they're doing. They're trying to fight this law tooth and nail. And now what they're doing is they're attacking the First Amendment people that exercise their rights. They call them First Amendment auditors, cop watchers, whatever, cop blockers. It's the First Amendment, however you look at it, is what it is. It's your constitutional right. It's been established in the same court under ACLU versus Alvarez that you have a right to film police carrying out their duties. It's already been established in the same court that it's going in. So they're going to do everything they can. Now they had a meeting. They got like these crime stat meetings in the police department. They don't know that we know about this because we can't attend to every meeting or meetings all the time, and we don't. And it's they're attacking us by saying that now they're saying we're helping criminals get away with crimes because we're filming. Like, okay, how? Like, I'm just filming what good luck with that narrative, but that's what they'll put out there as a media narrative just to if it's a little headline on Facebook and you read it, then you'll click share and run with it.
Yep. Sorry, just looking at chat over there. Okay, you guys, because I want to wrap this up really soon here. Does anyone have any questions for Danny from Famously Unfamous? I don't know if Freedom to Film still in here or not.
He's not going to be in much because he's busy.
Yeah, no problem. One of the officers that was supposedly on tape is still active duty. Kelly Waite, third shift commander.
Yep. Captain Kelly Waite. That's nobody knows factually what is on the tape supposedly, but there are rumors that officers talking about the former mayor, and when he was hanging out in public parks, found in nefarious positions with other men. There are rumors of the racial interrogatories. There are rumors of them talking about evidence they may have planted on people. There are rumors about them plotting against other people in the department. You know how it is. It's like there's a good case you can look up about that inside the department, like who's getting promoted to certain jobs and all that stuff. And that's under Hackett versus the city of South Bend. There's all kinds of things that were discussed on those tapes that they don't want out in public, obviously. I mean, or else they would have been released. Even, I brung it up before, even the federal government has to declassify files eventually, like the JFK files and the UFO files. So when do they get, when, and then they preach transparency when they run for office.
Of course.
But then when you try to go, you know how much it costs for us to go FOIA these chest cameras and get documents? Hundreds and hundreds, almost $1,000 sometimes, because they put them on different discs. It's
sometimes
ridiculous.
$1 a page.
Yeah, sometimes $1 a page. Yeah.
And they'll put two words on a page just to get more out of you, and I think that's insane. I think it should be published just like, anybody should be able to get online and look at it. The transparency hub they have for South Bend, it don't have anything on it. It's not very transparent.
Yeah. For me personally, I'm all about a person's rights and ability to do things. For me, I absolutely condone what you're doing, the reason why you're doing it in a sense. And for me too, I want to say this. I don't give a crap about if someone's making $1 off of, it takes a lot of time and money, cameras, etc., files, etc. Somebody wants to make their living being a YouTuber, and but again, I'm not going to condone. I don't ever condone the shitty people out there that run YouTube channels. But regardless, at the end of the day, everyone has the right to create. And then if they break the rules, that's where YouTube steps in, or people report your channels and blah, 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 blah.
Well, Shelly, you know as well as I do. You know what Radaris is, and you know what these search sites are and how you can look people up. And when you look up these articles in the news on Facebook or these social media sites, and you see the people that are allowed to comment and the comments that get deleted in these forums and groups that you have to join, and you start looking these people up, and you realize that, man, well, she's married to the one of the sheriff deputies. They're all related. They're just damage control specialists sent in to push a narrative. And our comments as a private public citizen, taxpayers, we're stifled anywhere we go. So they'll delete your comments, they'll block you from a group, they'll anything to push their agenda, and that's how it works. I tell you, everybody, if you're paying attention right now and you're in groups or you're on Facebook or anywhere, it doesn't matter if it's any platform, and you see these forums and groups or the places you have to join or be a member of, or in your news or sites where they post an article, look through those and you'll know that, well, hell, these people are all related to, they're pushing an agenda. That's when you start really researching. But if it's a public site in Indiana, it is the ACLU versus Martinsville and Elkhart ruled that if it's a public site like the police department, the city council, or any government site that is publishing information, they're not allowed to delete your comments. So remember that. That's statewide. It's probably nationwide, because it's a violation of what? The First Amendment and your right to redress your government. So go ahead, Shelley. I'm done ranting.
You know what? I'm going to drop a link to a really good video on the rights, the First Amendment rights that I was watching today. I thought for anyone that doesn't really truly understand it, certain things, this video to me was basically, like for me, like a dummies 101 type of listening tool. That I just thought he did a really good explanation of explaining, what is legal, what's not legal, when it comes to recording. Because at the end of the day, honestly, first of all, like I said, I'm grateful for people like yourself. First of all, Danny. So, Danny, if you guys remember, some of you that are watching this video, some of you don't or haven't, is that Danny provided us with tons of that Wabash footage. He asked nothing from it. He just wanted it to be put out there. He wasn't asking for all these kudos to go with it. He just simply wanted to share the information. And he was so kind that he reached out to me, and I was sharing his videos, and you guys would not have that knowledge if it wasn't for people like the good people, the ones that don't have this agenda in a sense, and I really love who Danny is as a person. Again, I know that you are the type of person that you're doing this from the care, from your heart, for showing truth, transparency. And me, kind of like the whole Judge Fouts crap in Delphi, someone that should have lost his job. And yet, what did they do? They let him step down. Bunch of corruption right there. Again, there's so much corruption that is going on. I would say, right, at the end of the day, you have a brain, you have cells, use them. You obviously know good content creators when you come across them, and the ones that are probably just leeching off whatever, provoking. Those are the ones that I can't stand, is when somebody is purposely provoking and they're poking the bear over and over again just to get content and just to piss somebody off, and then they sit there with their camera. And then, those ones. There's tons of those people out there, but there's tons of great channels out there as well. So go ahead.
I'm not gonna mince any words. If you're gonna be a law enforcement officer and act like a dipshit and on camera, I'm gonna put content out there to make an example out of you of what not to be. Like last night, we were literally walking down the street and were harassed by a small town cops, but they don't understand why you're there in the first place. You're looking at, like messages that are coming in, you're looking at past lawsuits, you're looking at things and incidents that are happening that are getting swept under the rug. And it's mostly complaints of citizens that send us emails and say, hey, this is going on here. We can't be everywhere, but if it's close, and we have an opportunity, and we hear it on the scanner, of course, because the scanner comes over from several towns around us. We listen, we hear it. And that's their next step, is to encrypt the scanner so we can't listen to them. But I can assure you that there's so much going on in the areas that we film, and we know every little way around town, that all we have to do is watch the little flashing red and blue lights, and we'll find them, okay?
Now, can you just tell people that don't understand this? So when they ask you for your name, like you can ask them for their badge number and whatever, but you don't have to give them your name. Can you explain to people, say maybe the rule about that?
It's reasonable articulated suspicion that a crime has been committed, is in the process of being committed, or already, it's a reasonable suspicion that something criminal is going on. It's mens rea. Well, not really mens rea. Mens rea is the knowledge that you committed a crime. But there's a lot that goes into it. Okay, just because a cop comes up to you on the street and says, "Hey, give me your ID," that's not a law. That's not lawful. People will fall for it because if you don't know your rights, they'll feel obligated. But if you do know your rights and how it's written in the law, and you assert those rights, it's checking the authority of it. It's established. It's established case law, and they don't have that right. Just like if you're driving down the road and you get pulled over because your turn signal's out, that doesn't they cannot obligate your passenger to ID. You are the one that was operating the vehicle. Now, if they suspect that you were, committing a crime, okay, and that vehicle description fits, and they need to identify there's a fine line between it. So a lot of officers try to use, that's part of that. It's a little bit of unfettered authority too, but they, that's their job, is to, investigate. They can lie to you. That's one thing people don't understand. All law enforcement officers are allowed to lie to you in the course of an investigation to get evidence. That's absurd, but it's the truth. So it's really just knowing what your rights are, and that's what it is. They don't like you out here educating people, Shelley. They don't. And that's how they say, well, you're helping criminals by educating them that they have a right to remain silent. If you call your attorney tomorrow and you got arrested, the first thing your attorney's going to ask you is, well, did you talk to the police? Yeah, I told them everything. The attorney's going to say, well, I'm going to see what I can do, but you should have told him that you wanted to talk to me first. It's in the Fifth Amendment.
Yeah, and that's just the thing, is that, a lot of people that will be watching, say, this video have no clue about what the laws are, in all fairness, right? And then there's people.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
You can say the wrong thing and get yourself in trouble without even realizing it. And you weren't even really involved with it. Like, say somebody came to your house after they committed a crime and you didn't know, okay? But that person said, well, man, them cops were looking at me, they were scaring me. You tell the cops, well, they were scared, and with the reputation of, like what Adam said, George Floyd, Tamir Rice, he was scared, so I let him in the house. Well, then the cops turn it around on you and say, well, no, you're harboring a fugitive from justice.
Right.
So there's fine lines to it. And it's best just to assert your rights until you get a lawyer involved, so you don't get yourself into something that you might not even had the criminal intent, knowingly, willingly, or wittingly, to put yourself in.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, Shelley, I'm not even sure what you mean by that. Sonny, you like being me? No, I like being myself, to be honest. I'm not sure what you mean by that. For me, at the end of the day, so we'll wrap this up here and we'll just give kind of final thoughts. So for me personally, again, I'm always about truth and transparency, people being honest, and that's simply it. And I'm a person that has always stood up for what's right. And for me, when people are doing things, kind of like when you have, like in true crime here, when you have people like abusing their kind of stature on a YouTube, and they're what do we want to call Joseph Morris, or people like Carly Russell, who faked her own abduction and stuff like that. Stuff like that just pisses me right off. When cops abuse their power, of course that pisses me off. When anybody abuses their power, it pisses me off, and so can I ask you one thing, Danny?
What's that?
So are you against any sort of how it's 25 feet, which is quite a ways, like a good little distance? Are you against like a 10-foot rule, or do you think that, meaning, so I understand that there's people like you guys out there that you're doing your recording and stuff like that, but is there kind of like a boundary that you kind of have too when you're recording? Like, what kind of space do you typically give the police officers when you're at any of your scanner calls, or like what happened there with this guy with the 20-foot rule? Obviously that's in there, but what typically space do you give?
All right, I enough to breathe, because here's the thing, okay? I have people walk up on me in public and walk right up to me and look at my camera and watch the chat right behind me over my shoulder. I don't say nothing to these people. It's educational for them. Okay? Yeah. They just want to see what's going on. But I'm against any law that encroaches on the Constitution.
Right.
Okay? In Indiana, there is a law on the books, and I stated that statute. Read it. Everybody in the state needs to read it. It's IC 3541 3-2. Okay? If I believe, not myself or anyone, for everyone, it is the law that's already established. Okay? If I observe an officer doing something unlawful or 12 officers piling on to somebody, I want to be able to film and make sure they're not squeezing his larynx. I want to film and make sure that their knee is not crushing their spine and twisting their neck in a certain way to where it's excessive force. Now, am I going to get close enough to where I'm part of the melee or anything like that? No. But I want to be close enough to observe whether this officer that went to the trunk of his car grabbed some dope out of it that he confiscated from somewhere else and didn't write down the actual amount, and if he's walking up and placing that inside of your car or your ashtray. I want to make sure that I am able to observe what's going on and disseminate that information to the public so that we know the truth in certain situations. So I would say that obviously you're going to have to give some personal space, but in certain situations you might not be able to back up 25 feet. I might fall off the subway if I do that.
Yeah, I gotcha.
You know, I mean, that's my example of it, and that's how I feel about it. I am against any law that is created to encroach on your constitutional rights.
Right, gotcha.
Period. Anybody's constitutional rights. That's how I feel about it. And if obviously it's going to go to the district court, it's probably going to go to the Supreme Court if they fight it.
Yeah.
And they're going to put the parameters in it, and that's what it's for, and that's why we have these courts. And sometimes it's going to be hell to get the Supreme Court to go over a district court for the simple fact that that's why we have district courts.
Okay.
So,
can you repeat that number again? The IC number?
IC 35 41 3 2.
Okay. IC 35-41. There we go.
3-2, yeah.
Yeah.
Go to subsection I. Scroll down the I.
Okay, well, let me just
scroll through. Let you do what you do. There you go.
I see. So I see 35. Read it back out. I'm on a different page. So I see 35-41-3-2.
Yep.
Is that what it is?
Yep.
Okay. So let me see here. So what I'm seeing here, it says, meaning under the Indiana Code, an individual is justified in using reasonable force against another person to protect himself from whatever he reasonably believes to be imminent use of unlawful force. That one?
Yes.
Okay. Is that the one that you wanted to reference? Was that one? Yeah.
Yeah, it's for everybody. It's for your safety. If you see a woman getting jerked around in a parking lot and robbed, you have a right to intervene. If you see a law enforcement officer violating someone's rights and breaking the law, you have a right. I wouldn't do it because they're armed and they'll probably tase you and beat you. But at the same time, there's a law on the books that allows you to be that close. You understand what I'm getting at?
Yeah. Right.
So,
right.
In certain situations, it's got to be justified, legally justified. And
Right.
this explains that.
Yeah. Okay. All right, guys. It's 1 hour and 55 minutes. So we'll start with you, Danny. Final thoughts.
I just feel like that we have to stand up for our rights. It's just like you said earlier. They constantly make they're in the state legislature, in your county and city councils making ordinances and laws that constantly squeeze tighter and tighter on us. They're not giving us any other privileges. They're constantly every day taking them away from us. Now, are
That's
some
what
of
it
them
seems like. Sorry, but it
probably
seems like
reasonable, and certain things that like with you know, certain technologies come out, obviously you don't want somebody to be able to, you know, just record in your bathroom. That's a law. I mean, I'm not going to record in the bathroom, but there's parameters to it. There's privacy, you know, but at the same time, when they are creating these types of laws that are designed to choke the Constitution and your ability to hold your government officials accountable, the question starts to linger in your head. Look at the rest of your country. It's pretty sad that it's sad that we have a country where citizens have to pick up their camera to document wrongdoing when we have a Department of Justice that they should be out here doing the same thing. How do you know that it's not somebody from the Department of Justice holding one of these cameras? That's what they're supposed to be monitoring, what they're doing, but you don't see it. It's citizens that have noticed what's going on. They call us Antifa, Black Lives Matter. We're not affiliated with any of that. I haven't met any cameraman that has ever discussed any of that. It's about accountability. And one last thought that I would like to say is, I don't know how you feel about it, but there are other people that I would like to commend, because I'm small feet in big shoes here, okay? I'm a smaller channel. Now,
absolutely. You know, I don't got it. You go right ahead.
There are people that have done great things, whether you hate them or you don't. And those people in this state of Indiana are Chuck Bronson, Freedom to Film, okay? You've got other ones that are throughout the United States that do a very good job at what they're doing, and every one of them are appreciated for what they do. Because it takes a certain kind of person that has the knowledge, the willpower. Do you know how scary it is in these communities? It is scary. The media comes to us and calls us, don't tell anybody, but if you get any good content, let us know. Our reporters are scared to go in these areas. That's what they tell us. They admit it to us.
Right.
But there are many people out there holding a video camera in this state. Like, you know, in Lafayette, Big Man Audits. He works, but he does it when he has time. This is not something that we do and we take lightly. Our safety is on the line. We have to watch our back in certain situations. And I commend everybody that does it. Midwest Accountability is a very good supporter. He's a truck driver all day long, and yet he supports every one of us that are doing what we're doing.
I think I saw him in your chat the other day. That's where I remember that name from.
A lot of people that support us. We have people that come in as moderators that support us. We have, and that's what we need, is support. Without that support mechanism, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. And when it is like that, when another cameraman is getting messed with, we have to look out for each other. And that's why, you know, they say we're a group and all that. We're not a group. Safety in numbers. Me and Freedom usually film. I learned from Freedom how to do YouTube. If I didn't, you know, I was in chat and talked to him. He knew I had all this knowledge I'd put in chat and everything. And then one day we finally just met up and we're like, you know what? You know, you want to film? Yeah, I'll do it. I don't care. Was it scary at first? Hell yes, it was scary. You know how many officers have put a flashlight in my camera? And that's prior restraint. They'll put lights in your camera so you can't see what's going on.
Right, I know. Or turn on copyrighted music.
Yes. You turn your live feed off, and they'll start following you out of towns and intimidate you to the point where you're actually, you know, 10 and 12 scared because you think that they're going to do something to you, riding your ass on your bumper all the way out of town. That's the stuff that people don't get to see. They will come in and use other means to intimidate you. Okay? And once they see that you'll stand up for your rights and you're not going anywhere, they do like what we're seeing now. They got to back up 25 feet or we're going to start arresting them, or we're going to make an example out of you.
Right.
Can I
ask you really quickly, So with this law that took place in Indiana on July 1st with the 25 feet thing,
Mm-hmm.
how rare is that across the United States? Like, are there other states that have similar laws? Do you know?
Arizona tried it. I think it was an 8-foot law in Arizona. It was ruled
Right.
unconstitutional.
Well, yeah, there
there's
was sorry, Denny. I believe was in Arizona 15 feet, and then they passed for 8 feet. So, and
Right.
so you're saying
But
that they took it away now?
right.
yeah,
But I mean, are there other states that have these distance laws as far as filming?
So we're
not
just
that
talking about.
I'm aware of specifically, but I know that like what is it? Oklahoma's a tough one that I've heard. Florida's trying to do it just like Indiana and all that. But there's also parameters in it of like Indiana's a single party state, so you only need
Right.
like one person's permission to record a conversation, and if you're a part of that
Right.
conversation, you don't need permission.
Right.
There is no reasonable expectation of privacy in public whatsoever, or what you can view from public. So if you're walking down the road and somebody didn't shut their window, then if it's visible from public, it's on them to create the privacy, tint the windows or pull a curtain.
Right.
Obviously bathroom windows and peeping Tom crap is off limits.
Right.
Then you've got like, if you look at some of the boys in New York, like Easy Cameras On or Brooklyn Audits or Good Guy Audits, dude, we aren't doing anything like these boys are.
Oh no, I mean the laws there are different.
There's people that are on a whole nother level.
Right. And some people, I'm not saying those people, but and some people do have an agenda. Some people do have the agenda of putting officers in a position where they're going to be subject to criticism. Granted, like I said, I think ultimately you should have, if you are a public servant, you should be able to be filmed 100% of the way, even from 0 feet away, and it to be transparent, because you shouldn't be doing anything wrong.
Well, I think you should be able to be close enough to read the name tag they wear on their shirt, Adam.
I agree. Like I said, I don't think that if you're a public servant, you are having your salary paid by the public, you are subject to complete transparency. And if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to worry about.
And I'm not talking about zooming in with a camera to read their name tag. An average citizen should be able to be close enough to read that officer's name on his shirt. Because what if he refuses to identify to you? That's your only way to identify this person that may have violated your rights.
Right.
All right, Sonny, I'm done.
I mean, I will say, I'm conservative as far as, if there's a law in place like this one in Indiana, if you're the 25 feet thing. So to me, it's, I subjectively, I think that, it's stupid, but my basic flaw with the whole thing is the 25 feet thing is not standardized. There's, we saw in this footage, you have one officer that says 25 feet away, and you have another officer that could walk 10 feet further out and say 25 feet from here. So to me, if there are no standardized perimeters as far as the scope of this law, that's the problem in the immediate. In the way I look at it immediately, I think, should this be a law? No. But if I have to argue something against this law, it's going to be the fact that there are no standardized formalities with it.
I think it's vindictive because we file complaints too of what we see, and I've felt like that a lot of this stuff becomes vindictive when officers are, they don't like the that's that dude that's going to file a complaint on us. He'll actually put pen on paper. or, you know,
Right.
ink through the printer, ink in my case.
If you haven't done anything wrong, there's nothing to file a complaint on. So
That's right.
So
So, but they will back you up because that's just their way of being. That's vindictive retaliation, is what it is. That's exactly what it is. And just to be a dick, they'll back you up. There are officers like that, and
oh, absolutely.
to me, they're pulling their attention away from what they were dispatched to and what they're doing. I've asked officers, "Are you dispatched to me, the camera, or are you dispatched to where you were ordered to be?"
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, it's the human aspect of you know their fragility to
you know when they're up to bullshit. It's just like, you know,
course.
you ever had come up and fib to you or lie to you? Some of these cops are young bucks. They don't. It takes 3 years to go, or 3 months to go to the police academy. It takes 8 years of law school to defend against this shit.
Right.
That's the bottom line right there.
Well, and I mean, it's human nature that no one likes to be criticized. I get that. No one likes to be criticized. I don't like when someone criticizes me. I don't like when someone criticizes my friends. But you know what? If I said something that isn't true or I did something that isn't right, then I'm okay admitting it. And that's the problem, is that these people, it's such a fear-based thing that they're so terrified that they're going to be shown in a light that isn't agitative to them, that they'd rather shut that camera down. That's where the problem is.
They want to shut you down.
Fear.
You do. It's just who you are. When they look at us, they envy it. You can see the look in their demeanor in their eyes and their body language is just like, oh, here's that son of a bitch again. You know, that's
you're like a gnat.
Yeah, yeah. Or they you know, they come in and then they comment. I don't care about that. Like, I love the interactions. You know how it works, Shelly. Boost that algorithm and come on in here, and you know. But the thing is,
Keep saying Shelly. You talking to Shelly in chat or talking to me?
You.
Are you calling me Shelly?
I'm sorry.
No, it's just that you said Shelly a couple times now, but then this time I was like, I'm thinking you're meaning Sunny. But
yeah, that's what I say. I get sorry. I was ranting.
I don't care. But there's Shelly in chat, but then when you said it the one time, I'm thinking
I have an Aunt Shelly, and the Sunny and Shelly.
All good. No offense taken. I was just thinking, well, Shelly's in chat, but I don't recall her saying anything. And then you said Shelly, so I was like, I think you're talking to me though. No, go ahead. Sorry, my bad.
I love both.
I think all of us, you know, understand it because we look at it from. I look at things in a neutral way a lot of times, you know, because sometimes you don't know what you're walking into. You know, you have to have that open mind of, you know, but at the same time, when you're dealing with the same personalities and you know the behavior of certain individuals, you automatically stereotype it sometimes too. And it's inadvertent, but it's the reputation that people build for themselves. So the reputation that they would have of me is that he's looking for wrongdoing, and if he catches it, he's going to publish it. Well, yes, I am. But at the same time, there's been times when I've been out for 4 or 5 hours and there's been no bad interactions. And then other times it's one after another. Like, damn, they're having a bad night. They must have got, you know, they must have had a bad briefing, you know, or something, you know. But we pay attention to a lot of things, and you know, without giving our tactics and you know, it's constantly, you have to change and evolve and adapt and overcome. And that's what they do. They adapt to us and try to change new techniques and things to sway us away from filming them. And at the same time, you know, in your mind, you're thinking, well, I'm going to have to do this now because they're going to do this. And, you know, like the 25-foot rule. All right, we have drones. Do you want us flying drones over your head?
Right.
You know, like.
Actually,
you know,
that such a bad idea?
Well, it's not going to give. I mean,
it's shoot them down.
I mean, it's not like
you got to make sure you're not close to an airport. There's certain parameters to it to fly in your drone. It's got to be under so many, grams, the weight of the drone, how big it is. Flying it over groups of people, there's rules to it, but so it's a lot more restricted than, it's easier to just have feet on the ground and do what you do. Now, I have, what they hate is that, honestly, a lot of times we're in the community and they see the interactions that we have with the community versus how the community treats them. And they don't have a good relationship with their community because they don't build a good relationship with their community. And when they see that other people are like, they're all the time on my videos, people, I've lived in South Bend for a long time, and people come, Danny, they give me a hug or a high five, or, and then other people walk up and they're like, oh, are you the cops? Because we wear our chest camera, for our own protection.
Yeah.
So we get interactions differently from different people all the time. So we're used to it. It's just something that we deal with. I love recording butt hurt. So if you're going to, come on my camera and make yourself look like an ass, then like I said, I'll put it out there for educational purposes. And there's no reasonable expectation of privacy in public. If somebody was standing here on this sidewalk where I'm sitting right now, and they were pointing a camera inside my car recording me, I would look like a dumbass to get out. Why are you recording me? It would be easier just to start my car up and pull off and park somewhere else.
Yeah.
Then give them, you understand what I'm getting at. So same thing with police officers. If they're sitting somewhere and they're not doing their job, or they might be sitting in a parking lot writing a report, and we're just curious as to, damn, is he just sitting here? Or nope. Instead, they don't mind their own business or ignore the camera. They turn their spotlight on, shine it in your lens, and turn their headlights on. Why are you? There's a million different things I can tell you.
I mean, honestly, it's because they're threatened by you being there. Really, they don't want you there, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, that's where the aggressiveness comes in from certain individuals, because they're like, you know what I mean? Because whether it's because they're old school, whatever, but I'm sorry, times have changed a lot. And for me, I'm grateful, for instance, of the cell phone. First of all, thank you, whoever invented the freaking cell phone. I remember that sucker back in the day when it was a big freaking Motorola thing. But anyways, I'm grateful again that I love boots on the ground. But I like people that are on the up and up, being honest about it. Not that they're going to show a little clip to make, say, an officer look bad, when really, if it was in, like, that's why I kind of wanted to show that fire one, and I wanted to show that one, through the whole thing, because I didn't want it just to be simply that clip, even though for the other one, only because there was a lot of swearing in the other one, I just opted for the smaller version, in a sense, about the 25-foot part. But again, so when people abuse that part and they clip it out just only to make that, but they didn't kind of show the scene around it, mind you, of course, when you're talking about YouTube shorts, I mean, like usually there's the longer.
I'm sorry for the language if it offends anybody. I'm a Taurus and I was raised by a Leo.
I personally don't care, but in the one video when I was watching it, I was like going, because I could care less myself to watch it. And I was just going, I think only because that one was a longer version too. So if anyone wants to watch it, they can watch the full version. They can go over to Freedom to Films channel to watch the longer version of that. Again, I'm going to drop both of your channels here again really quickly.
Another person that films in South Bend with us is Leo Watcher. In that firefighter video, you seen the officer that came up, and he's a weird officer. His name's Anthony Iracy. That officer has went above and beyond his duties to intimidate Leo Watcher, even sitting outside of his house, following him around. So there are vindictive officers, okay?
Oh, absolutely.
So,
there's good and bad in everything, for sure.
Yeah. But they have an
There's
agenda.
good and bad in everything.
You got to remember, these people are higher up in the city, and they got pull and power. And look at Carroll County. You would never think that that some of the things were going on with judges and lawyers, and judges are lawyers.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
No, the
yeah.
thing is, it's sickening, man. Look at the officers in like. Did you see that Snapped episode of the judge from Peru, Indiana? That his father was killed with his gun, and he ended up dating step the stepmom that killed him. Weird stuff. The officer that was in Peru that ended up in Las Vegas. I forget his name,
Oh,
but
right.
you know,
Randall
yeah,
or something Randall.
Jan Kendall. But
Kendall.
yeah, Jan Kendall. I mean, these guys were involved with people that were, the Keegan Klein thing. We read the transcripts of that. The biggest child porn and possible child trafficking investigation in Indiana's history.
Yeah.
We didn't hear nothing about
Sorry,
that.
do you have a scanner going off?
No, I don't.
I totally hear like a scanner thing going off. Am I? Oh, you know what it was? It's me. I'm on Leo Watcher's channel, and it's his his main video footage, whatever you want to call it, intro, going off
Yep.
there. I was like, why am I hearing this scanner? And I was thinking, oh, or maybe. Okay, I really do need to wrap this up now.
Like I said, you guys, thank you very much for having me. I don't speak for everybody that holds a camera. Everybody has their own reasons they do it. They have I don't think they have agenda except to exercise their rights and accountability of what it is. The agenda is accountability. The agenda is to bring about a positive change, and these officers to monitor whether they're being trained right. And that behavior in the streets is indicative of their training and their leadership. So I believe that is the agenda of everyone that holds a camera. I don't think that people just go out and, there probably are, but I don't think that everybody, I'm speaking for the 90% of the people that film for accountability reasons, it's for accountability. And it's because we have a constitutional right to do so. And like I said, we wouldn't even be able to discuss this on this platform without the First Amendment of the Constitution in the United States. And if the FCC did not want you to film in public, they would not have put in 5 cameras in this cell phone I have right here.
Yeah. My last word on this one is simply going to be, I'm all about, your freedom of rights. I'm sick and tired. Honestly, I feel like a controlled little peon in this world that we live in. And it just feels like it's like this, Like, I mean, look how ridiculous it got. And I'm not going to mention it, but when the flu was here, look how ridiculous it got with anyone speaking about that. I mean, I'm not even going to get into that topic on this channel, but just meaning it for me, I'm all just about, honestly, our freedom of rights. And I think that this 25-foot rule is just a crock of crap, to be honest with you. Again, there's no reason, again, if people are just going up there and recording, like I said, I think that the citizens have the right to record. We know that there's a ton of this stuff that goes on throughout all the different states, anywhere across the world, where these corrupt officers, and if you're not corrupt, nothing's going to go on in that video. It's going to be a very boring video. Okay. But there's a lot of people out there, like I said, like in that one for freedom to film there, for instance, well, besides the one where he pushed back, but nobody was doing anything besides recording. And then again, now he has consequences for that, but he just, one sec, Adam. But for that, for me, like I said, if that wasn't on film, nothing would have happened. But you guys were just standing there. Were you at that one yourself? No, I think that was just freedom to film, right? You weren't at that one.
I believe that was Leo Watcher, Joe Cool, and Freedom to Film.
Yeah. Did he lose? He lost his job, but it doesn't mean he can't go to a smaller town. Oh, okay, he's talking about that other one topic. But yeah, so for me personally, like I said, there was nothing going on there. That gentleman, I don't even like to call them gentlemen when they act like that. When he literally came up, like I said, people are just recording. He chose to make a little V line over to the cameras and be like, why are you doing this? Well, obviously, buddy, if you need the rights, you know that you guys, or Freedom and that had a right, and Leo, whatever, had a right to be there doing that. So again, because of his constant.
That's Lance Gunderson, that firefighter.
Yeah, Lance Gunderson, thank you. So anyways, again, reap what you sow. Again, if you're doing things bad, you know, then bad things happen to bad people. I'm sorry. And if you get caught on camera doing it, those are your actions that you've done. So I feel sorry for no one where it's like your actions cause something, whether you're on the regular citizen or whether you're working for the county, whether you're working for the police department, whatever, right? Again, so I like the fact that you guys go up there. And so I dropped the channel for Famously Unfamous and for Freedom to Film. Sorry, I was going to say fight, freedom, fight, freedom to film, and
Freedom
for Leo Watchers.
Yeah. Yep.
Say it again.
Freedom #2 film. Yeah. Yep.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah,
Am I saying it wrong? Yeah,
there's another one in Denmark or somewhere that's not in this country or somewhere, but
Freedom to Film.
Another one in the United States with the TO. But yes, Freedom to Film in South Indiana. They tend to mess with freedom a lot more than most of your cameramen, I think. I believe that they have it out for us. Because, you know, like this, we're on the video with the ACLU. You think this law is going to be applied to the state of Indiana, the Northern District of Indiana, and that district court, which applies to Illinois and Wisconsin. So if that ruling goes through, it doesn't just only affect Indiana, it affects Illinois and Wisconsin. So this is a lot bigger of a picture than what is just what people are seeing on the video. It's about our rights, and it's going to affect 3 different states, and hopefully in a positive way for our rights. So thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us, Danny and Freedom and Leo Watcher and Denise over here. She said she came by to give support and delightful.
I think Caucasian Sasquatch came in. He's very knowledgeable.
And you know, this isn't just happening in the United States. I mean, we're seeing it in the UK, even with Curtis Media. I mean, it's essentially the same thing. You know, someone gets on the radar of law enforcement, and
we saw. Right. So people that don't know this, this is from the Nicola Bully case. Is that so? Curtis Media, whether you like him or hate the guy, because now he's doing auditing and stuff like that.
You don't have to like someone, but you know what?
Yeah.
Camera footage is not a crime, and it should never be. Because if you're doing your job the right way, you shouldn't be afraid to be filmed.
Well, I'm going to get off here, you guys, but I'm going to tell you this. Are they going to push your Arlo camera on your house back 25 feet? What about their license plate readers that are watching your license plates everywhere you drive around the United States? Traffic cameras, facial recognition, they have it in South Bend, Indiana. Look it up. It's a policy. Are they going to tell you that the camera on the ATM is too close? I'm out of here. You guys have a good one.
Take care, Danny. Thank you so much.
Mic drop.
Yeah. Other than that, we're gonna head off here too, guys. It's 2.5 hours, and Adam, make me something to eat. I'm hungry.
I am, and you know, like I said, I want to be clear. I support law enforcement, but the law enforcement that I am friends with and that I know would tell you when they're doing their job the right way, they're not afraid to be held accountable for it.
No.
And on film, you're accountable for everything. So anyone that's afraid to be on camera doing their job is afraid that they're not going to do their job correctly. And that's where that fear lies. And that's what creates the idea in them that they need to stop someone from filming them. Because if you're doing your job right, you are not afraid to be filmed.
You know, for some reason that show, Undercover Boss, is coming into my head. You know, and if it wasn't for the fact that they basically, you know, like I said, went around with their cameras, seeing exactly how their employees are doing their jobs. Because if you own that business, I'm just saying from the Undercover Boss one, if you own that business yourself, do you want people there that are literally detrimental to your business? Or do you want people there that are working hard for you and doing their jobs in the appropriate, you know, correct manner that they're supposed to be? Well, to me, the same thing applies here. Again, do you want crooked cops out there? No. You know, so I love the ability that we get these snippets from, you know, watching the different, whether it's the odds or the, you know, people that like famously unfamous, the tidbits of when he's going to the different places from the scanners and listening to them to see what's going on. You know, it's just listening to the scanners, and if there's something going on, it's not like they're going there going, oh, you know, ooh, yeah, I hope that police officer right there starts, you know, they're just going there just to show the incident that's going on. And if someone behaves inappropriately, that's on them. That's on them. But I personally am all about rights. I'm sick and tired of always our rights being, like I said, I just feel like you're a peon in this life. Don't mistake that. You are a peon being controlled in this life. So how much more control do you want to keep giving them and letting them take away your rights? That's how I look at it. And to me, again, if you got nothing to hide, I understand. You know, this is a hard one because you understand that there's people out there that do things the right way. And you also understand that there's people out there that do things the wrong way, that are out there to provoke, that they want to provoke a reaction just simply that they can make a video out of it. You know, is that going to change the world? No. 25 feet rule, I totally don't agree with. I wouldn't even care. Like, I don't know. Like, I would be okay myself if there was like, you know, like a 5-foot rule or something like as long as you're not interfering with the police and what they're doing in that space, you know. But like Danny had said, that you're able to see their badge because, again, there is a lot of crooked cops out there. And if it wasn't for the people that have the cameras that are showing you the corruption, you know, then again, I think it just becomes about this. There's people that don't have, you know, the people that usually don't think probably that these laws are like, well, I think that there should be. I think that there should be. Aren't the people that are out there with the cameras. So they're looking from it from their point of view only versus the bigger picture, which is your First Amendment rights. And it's not just this law. I'm just talking about in general. They just like this one to me is just a law to me, if you're scared, you have something to hide, you know, you're going to create this. I'm not seeing this as honestly like the 25-foot rule. I just see this as just bullying, to be honest with you. That's how I kind of see this one. I don't know. That's my final thoughts, I guess. Adam? Wake up.
No, I think that, you know,
I don't know.
I gave my final thoughts as far as,
Yeah.
you know.
I just get pissed off.
I think that if you're doing your job, you shouldn't be
Nothing
afraid to
I-
be doing it.
No. I mean, they're doing their job. The other people are doing their job. The bottom line is really, when you look at the whole big picture, cops don't want cameras and that around them. That's where their anger issues come from. It's like the whole world is changed. It's in a different time, whether it's on social media, whatever. The world's changed. The YouTubers, the videos, you know, like JLR, for instance, someone like that. Even why can't I think of it? Frank, you know, got their badges, become pressed to, just because they wanted to be able to get into certain events and that. But
Hey,
it's kind of one of those
hey,
things.
Tom.
That's,
I
what?
wasn't watching one of your videos.
Oh, Tom. Oh, Tom's, yeah. Tom's a naughty boy. He sent me a video of,
Well, Tom said I was sleeping. I said, well, I wasn't watching one of your videos.
yeah. Well, Tom
I'm just
sent
kidding.
me a video of your cousin, and I thought it was
Of my
pretty
what?
darn fun. Your cousin. Cousin
My
once
cousin?
removed yourself. Yeah, it was a funny video. Yeah. It was actually looked like you, to be honest with you. It was definitely a relative.
Oh, was it Chris Hemsworth?
No. Anyways, Tom, Tom really needs to change his name to Tom Webster, talking from my recliner or something like that. That's truly what he needs. Oh no, it was Ron Logan's cousin. Well, no, it was Ron Logan's cousin, but your girlfriend.
That's understandable.
Anyways, you guys, yeah, okay. I think we're gonna call it a night for sure. I'm getting hungry. God, Tom, why can't I just wave my magic wand and be like, poof, get off your recliner, make me some food, know your role, let's go. Don't disobey me. I'm gonna tase your butt. One of the things is gonna happen if I lived in the United States, but I don't.
Absolutely.
Anyways, nice to have you guys here. I know there wasn't a ton of people watching it tonight. Again, usually it has to be blood, guts, and horror and something more horrific than your First Amendment rights. So again, just go, if you guys you haven't seen on Famously and Famous's channel, if you haven't seen Freedom to Film, if you haven't seen Leo Watcher, go check out their channels, you guys. If you, because you know what, it's like sometimes Danny doesn't know that like I'm in his live sometimes, because I'm usually working, but I don't know always. I don't usually talk a lot. It depends what I'm doing, but like sometimes that's why I knew about the Midwest, whatever that Midwest something, is because I was in it the other night.
Knowledge is power. So, you know what? Go to
Knowledge
those
is
channels.
power.
Inform yourself.
Yeah,
And
inform
you know
yourself.
And you don't have to agree with everything they say, but you know what? Like, I stand by the fact that, you know what? If you're doing your job correctly, you shouldn't be afraid to be on film.
That's the bottom line. Yep, and we'll see. I mean, I'm sure that Danny will keep us updated on about this law and let us know, of course, if there's whatever. Let us know what's going on. And other than that, love you guys. Kind of, sort of, maybe. Right. I don't know. But thank you so much, Danny, for joining us.
Yeah.
We'll see you.
We'll see you guys later this week.
Yeah. Later this week. I'm not sure. I know we have to do another live on something, but I'll tell you in a minute. Anyways, you guys take care. Have a great night. And with that being said, thank you for joining us tonight, guys. Yeah. And I think we'll have to do an outro. This is Sunny Justice and Aspen Connor from It's a Crime and Shame, wishing you all a good night.